welcome back to episode 12. I'm Levi from Official PaperPlanes Game, and let's go ahead and get in this. So last time we pretty much finished off all the textures, and now we're going to go ahead and start setting it up and getting it set and put into Unreal. There is one issue I made last time though, is when I did all the dirt textures, I disabled. So if we go here to one of the dirt textures and we go down here a little bit into this column, I disabled the roughness, which uses the roughness that's underneath. And I don't really like that very much, and I forgot to reset this. So if you look here, so there's some dirt texturing here, and if you go and you get a little bit of highlight on it, and it looks nice, but I want the dirt to be a little bit duller, which will make more patchy, dull spots. So we're actually going to turn the rough back on, and if I use the roughness slider here, you can see I can get it really shiny, or I can dull it up a lot more. I don't want to go all the way. We want to have a tiny little bit of roughness on it. So I'm going to just bring it down to about there. That'll just make sure that that dirt is a little rougher and it doesn't have any reflections on it. So now what we can do is we're going to have to actually go through all of these to reset those. So let me just go ahead to this one. We'll go to turn our roughness back on, put it up, and you can see it's really shiny, and then we'll bring it back down about the same as the last one. 8.4 or so should do us. Let's go ahead and take a look. That actually might be a little too dull. Let's bring it back a little bit more. So here you have it really shiny, really dull. Yeah, we'll give it a little tiny bit, about like that, just so it breaks up that surface a little bit, and it's not quite so so shiny everywhere. So let's go up to this top one. This one will really pop out. Basket doesn't have, the battery does. We'll go ahead and knock all these back down. I'm just gonna do them real quick. Go to the funnel, roughness, put that down. Yeah, 9 will do. Yeah, you can see here where it really changed. It was here. You really can't see it that well. Bring it down a bit, and it just pops out a little bit better. And it also breaks down on those shininess there. So the gears, we're going to do the same. Roughness. Bring it down. There we go. All right, let's go to the motors. Let's bring those down as well. And the tire. Quite that far. Turret top. Let's see how much this one changes. So I got a pretty good angle right here where we can see there's a bunch of dirt here. So if we go in our roughness and bring that up, you'll see it just brings that dirt out a little more. Doesn't catch the light quite as much. Like so. And let's go to the next one. The wires, do the same. Go ahead to, whoops, don't want metal, want rough. Bring that rough down. And let's see if we can get some more. So it'll show up a little more here on the... So before we were up here, and you really can't see it that much. But once we bring it down, it really starts to pop out quite a bit. Yeah, that breaks up that surface a lot better. Perfect. So let's get our wire ties. Our last one. Let's go to dirt. I'm on the wrong thing. Roughness, and we'll bring that one down too. There we go. All right. Everything looks way better now. Okay. The only thing I'm not liking here is, let me move the line. Oh, okay, yeah. So sometimes when you have the dirt on and you have the, so if we go to the dirt generator here, you have the contrast level. So if you put the contrast level way down, it'll dull out a lot of the area, depending on how much dirt level you have, and you'll lose all your shininess. I don't want to do that. ahead, back that up. Just making sure, because it looked like it was very dull. So it was just the sun in the wrong spot. So that should work for us. Let's go ahead and start pulling out all these textures. And let's see. Yeah, I think that'll work for us. So now we can go ahead and go up to File, and we can just go ahead and export our textures. And we have all of them here that we want to add. And then that will make the file for us. We are going to change to the file that we want it to be in. I have my own folder here. This is game materials. And we'll create a new folder. Call this golf ball turret. Works. We'll go ahead and select that folder. And this one's based on the size that we had set in Blender, I believe. I'm actually just going to do 2048 on everything. PNG is perfect. 8 bits is fine. And all that looks good. We can go ahead and click export, and it'll export all of these in their own individual sets, so that whatever you had it named here is what your file name will be. So you can see here I have base color, base occlusion, base normal map, battery, tire. So that's all set up for us. We don't know which one's which. We can go ahead and out of there, Control S to save. And let's go ahead and bring up Blender. So now we have to work on the Blender part. And let's get this one set up. So one thing, going from one program to another program, so we just jumped out of Substance Painter into Blender, and the controls for rotating and everything is completely different, so it takes a minute to reorient yourself. So anyway, now we have to figure out what parts we're going to keep together and what parts we're going to separate. So for now, we're going to go ahead and grab, let's see, how are we going to do this? So I believe we have an issue. Yes, we do. All right, so the problem that we have is the way that I set this up, I have these wires here, and these wires are also here, which we're not going to be able to do that because this is going to rotate with those wires. And see, if I grab this one and that one together and I rotate it on the Z, you'll see that all of my wires are rotating. So we're going to have to separate that out and make two separate models there. One will be the lower one and one will be the top one. We also have these ties here. So if I rotate on those, the same thing, because I'm using the ties also for the battery terminals down here. So we're going to have to separate that out as well. So let's just go ahead and grab this one. Let's see, how are we going to do this? Yeah, we'll just separate these and we'll click P, make it its own selection. So it'll still keep its own UV. So when I go out and I keep this, the UV should be the same. Whoops. On everything. Oops, I have everything selected. Alright, so that's where our UVs were originally, in these. So if we grab these and go down to them, we should see some open spots, which we do not. And that's going to give us a problem. So maybe what I can do is duplicate the whole thing. Shift D that, so now we have a complete duplicate. And then we can go out, grab one of the duplicates. Why are we getting that? Oh, that's why. We keep grabbing that one. Let's delete that one. See if we have more on there. Let me go ahead back to here. Alright, so now we don't have any we had a duplicate there that was messing me up. That's why. All right, so now we have this hole set up here. We can move it all around. We got them set. Let's go ahead back to here. And let's grab all of them. Like so. We'll Shift D to duplicate those. So we have, and then we'll make them their own selection. And we should see that both selections have the UVs in the correct location. Let's go ahead and see. That one's right. Let's hide that one. Then we'll grab this one. Tab in. So that one's right. Okay, so perfect. So what we can do is we can just grab all these and delete them. Now we have these in the right spot. And now we can go back into object mode and we can bring back our other set. Let's go ahead and select the other set. Tab into those. Have everything here. We'll just grab these ones on the bottom and we'll delete those. So let's delete the vertices there. So now we should have everything in the right place. And it is. They're missing the ones up here and the 2 bolts and these over here. And then we should have these in the right place right here. And that looks good. All right, I think that'll work for us. The small part, it doesn't really matter all that much, but I do think that'll be fine. So we're gonna do the same thing now with the wire. Let's go ahead and grab our wire. So we have these wires here, and if we rotate, that wire is going to rotate around with it. So we're going to go ahead and Control D it to make a duplicate, and then we're going to tab in. We'll delete all of these like so, and then we'll go back out and let's see. Alright, and then we can tab into that one and delete all of these. Like so. So now we should have 2 completely different sets and they should be in the right place. So these are right here. And this is the far one. And this one should be missing those. So if we go in, we will see that one's missing and all of these right here are missing. So that's perfect. So now we have, so we can just use the same texture. Since we did that the way we did, now we can just use the same texture on both of those separated parts, and we can add this one to the base, and we can add this one to the top, and then this top will rotate properly without losing, without moving these. So if we grab this and we rotate on the Z now, you'll see that the battery terminals and everything are staying where they need to be. Let's go ahead and grab the battery terminal just to make sure, because I'm sure that I can mess something up here. And that looks perfect. All right. So that's going to be our whole top section. And we're going to basically grab. All right. So this is its own piece. The whole top section here will be all of the motors and everything. And the whole bottom will be all the parts for the motors. And we'll take this one as a separate gear. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this one, and these right here. All right, that should be all of them that we need there, and it is. And our origin is in the right spot. Oh, we do have one other problem. We have a motor here that's going to give us a problem. So we have to do the same thing that we did with the motors. So all we're going to do is just grab the motors, and we're going to duplicate it. And we'll go ahead and on this one, we'll delete all these top motors like this. Delete vertices. And then we'll tab out of there. And then we'll grab the top motors. Tab back in. Grab all these. And delete those. Okay, perfect. So now we should be good to go. Let's go ahead and check. Let's grab this one. This one. Let's just grab everything that we're going to have included onto the top. So all of these parts are together. If we G move it around, now you can see that those are the only parts that are left, which is exactly what we want. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to export all of this. We're going to grab everything here, tab into it so that you have all of your geometry here. We're going to push A to select all of the geometry, like so. And then we're going to Control T to triangulate everything. And from that point, we're going to go ahead and go to File, Export, FBX. And let's go to our Blender models. And we have golf ball turret. All right, let's just go ahead and add a new folder here. Models. All right, so this is going to be the golf ball turret top. And what we're going to do is I have this, I have a preset here that I made. This is FBX scale 1. That's just what I call it. I have limited to selection added, so I can just click that whenever I want. And also in geometry, I have the tangent space checked on. And that way, like right now we have a whole bunch of stuff in the scene, but we only have these parts selected. So whenever we export, it'll only export the parts that we have selected and nothing else. So that seems to work there. Let's go ahead and Control Z twice and then save it. And the reason we Control Z is just so we can get this back to quads again. Let's go ahead and hide that. Now we have all of our other parts here. Let's go ahead and just grab the wheel. And we're going to go ahead and bring that out all on its own. File, Export, FBX, FBX scale. And this will be the wheel. Export that one. Go back, save, hide. Let's grab, whoops, I hit it in, didn't want to do that. Let's go tab and then hide. I hit it in edit mode. So now we can grab this one and let's go ahead and bring that one on. Control T, file, export, FBX, and we'll call this one the barrel. And we have to change to FBX scale. It remembers while you're in this project, but I like to just use it over and over anyway, just to make sure that I didn't miss that limit to selection. So let's export that out and let's Control Z, save it, tab out, hide that one. So it's basically just doing the same thing over and over again for a while. Let's go ahead and we're going to export all of this on the bottom except for this wheel, this gear as its own piece. So we're going to grab all of these and get that one and the motor. Make sure I got all the pieces there. And let's tab in, Control T, File, Export, FBX, and this will be the base. Perfect. Oops. Yeah. Let's redo that. Control T. I didn't have the motor selected. FBX. Let's go to, this was the base. Export FBX. Perfect. Back up a few times. Save. Let's hide everything there. So all we have left now is this one wheel or gear. We can go ahead and grab all that. Control T on that one. File. Export. FBX. And we'll just call this gear. Perfect. All right, that should work for us. Let's go ahead and bring everything back. H to bring it back. And I believe we should have everything where we need it to be. We'll find out a little more when we get into Unreal in case I messed up on one of the origins, but we'll go through it as we work on it. So let's go ahead and open Unreal. Go ahead and get out of some of these other things we have down here. Let's get Painter. Let's go ahead and save and close that one down. All right, perfect. Whoops, we're at nighttime. So the way I have this set up is this is my test level. So if I go into my levels, let me go ahead close everything here. Don't need it. So if I go into my levels, which is, where did I put them? Forgot to color code everything. So I have a whole bunch of levels here. And if I open up on PaperPlanes, so if I try and work on this in our main level, so right now I have the entire level loaded, which is the way I like to work on it, so that I can see everything. And it can get a little bit choppy when you have everything loaded. Like right now I'm putting in a whole bunch of rocks and stuff here. And I go over here and you can see it bounces around a little bit. I mean, it's more right now because I'm actually recording this video and I'm recording on Pro Tools at the same time. But every time I go to load in, it's going to take a few minutes because it has to load as if it were the game. And it goes through its loading screen and all of its phases like that. So I'm just going to load on simulation only so you can see what I mean. It just takes a while. I'll go ahead and speed it up so you don't have to see the whole thing. But I put in my simulate and it'll start loading that simulation. And it'll just let everything run the way it should. So there we go. Now we have the simulation running. Let me move it a little bit so that it stops jittering like that. And well, running almost 50 frames per second, and I have the entire level loaded right now. So everything's visible, it's rendering everything, which is the way I like to work on it and the way I like to simulate it so we can see how everything functions. But every time I have to load that, so we want to put it in the other level because it loads almost instantly. We don't have to go through all of our functionality and waiting every time. So that's pretty much the reason that I do that way. Whenever I start to play, it just takes a while to load it. Like if it's loading the game, I got to go through a loading screen and everything. So I just built a test level. So this is my test map here. So anytime I build something, I can just drop it into a test level and I still have all of my characters and everything set up in my settings here. So I can just jump into any of the characters that I want and test it out for that little one, that little piece. And then it doesn't take forever to load up, so I can just run it in like so, fly around, and do whatever I want to do there. So let's go ahead and back out of there, and test any little systems that I'm building to make sure they're working. Then I'll drop them into the actual big level. So for the first things first, let's go ahead and grab the sky, because the time of day is not very good for us, so let's go with 10 a.m. Works fine. Perfect. And for right now, we're going to be working mostly here in this. We're going to go ahead and add in our enemy folder. We'll add a new enemy. Like so. We'll add another folder for our mesh. And we'll add another folder for our materials. So whenever you first drop into Unreal, it's not going to look like this. You're just going to get like a little default scene that you can play around with, and the settings and everything, and running around in Unreal is pretty straightforward and pretty easy. So If you want to look around at anything, just hold down on the right mouse click and you can look around to whatever you want to. You can zoom in and out with the middle mouse wheel, like so. And when you're holding down and looking around, you just hold down on the right mouse button. If you push WASD, just like in a video game, you'll move around to wherever you want to be. And you can also use Q and E to go up and down. So you can go down, go up with E, like that. Makes it it's pretty simple, it's pretty intuitive. It's probably, out of all the programs that we've been using, this is my favorite UI to work in. And it looks pretty intimidating. You got a whole bunch of stuff over here and a whole bunch of stuff up here, but it really isn't all that bad. We're just going to make sure that we're on our details page. We have our item outliner here so we can see what items we have in the level. And any item you have in the level, you can go ahead and click on it, and then that'll open that item, or you can just left click on the item itself. But if you have a small item like this and you can't really find it, like you're way far away and you're working on something else and you want to go to it, you can just go ahead and left click on it and it'll show where it is. You can also double click on it and it'll zoom to it to make it a little bit easier. And mostly for right now, we're just going to go ahead and set up for bringing in all of our objects. So we have this folder here that we created, and to open the bottom menu down here, you can hold push Control and space, and that brings up your little content drawer, or you can add in all your files and everything like that. Control space to get rid of it again. So we're going to go ahead into our meshes folder, and we're going to right click, or excuse me, we're going to right click, we're going to import, and we're going to go to our Blender models. And we're going to find our golf ball turret and our models, and we're going to bring in everything here, like so. We're going to go ahead and let me see if that's going to work for me real quick. So one of the things that we want to do is that whenever we were building everything in Blender, we were building everything on the Y-axis, because that's pretty much the way Blender works. Y is front and back, X is left and right. In Unreal, it's the opposite. X is going to be front and back, and Y is going to be left and right. So we have a setting here for force front X axis, which works really well when you're importing, so that, because we want our barrel facing in the front axis, so when a projectile comes out of it, it's just kind of the way it works. It'll leave that space and travel along the X. If you bring it back in, you put it on the Y, no matter what you do, it always tries to fire out of the X, and you don't want it to do that. So we're going to force this front, and we'll go ahead and import, and let me see if I have an issue. So you're going to see this pretty much every time, the no smoothing groups, because I don't have any set up, and that's not a problem. So we have all of our parts and pieces here, every part we have set up, and we can go into each one and take a look at each piece and make sure that we don't have anything that's invisible, which we've already checked that since we put it through Substance Painter, and we made sure that none of the normals are facing the wrong direction or anything like that. But you can double check again if you like. You can go ahead and open this one up and make sure everything looks satisfactory. So let's go ahead with that. Now we're going to, so we have our materials, we have our mesh. We're going to right click here, and you're going to get your menu here. And we're going to open up a blueprint class, and we're going to go to actor. So this is going to be our new golf ball turret. So this is going to be BP underscore golf ball turret, like so. And we can go ahead and open that one up. We're not going to do anything super fancy here right now. Later I'll create a child and parent setup for everything, but for right now, let's just go through putting these together so you know how it's done. And I'll do the child parent setup afterwards off of camera. So for right now, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add a static mesh, and we'll call the static mesh, let's just call this one base. We're going to go ahead and add another static mesh. This one is going to be called top, and we don't want those parented together. No, yeah, we'll mess with that in a minute. Let's go to the next static mesh. This one is going to be the barrel. And we'll add another static mesh. This one will be, what do we need? We got the top, we got the barrel, we got the, not worried about the battery yet. So we need the motors. Let's go ahead and pull the motors out like so. All right, so we're gonna have a double on the motors though. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the motors and just Shift D that to duplicate it, or Control D, I'm sorry. So let's go ahead and throw some stuff in here real quick just to see what everything's gonna look like. So we can click on our base. We have all of our parameters over here, and the one we're dealing with will be the static mesh. And you can go ahead and search here for the piece that you want, or you can also open up your content drawer, go to meshes, and we're working on the base, which is this one. You can just click on it so it's highlighted, and then click the little arrow here, and that'll bring in our base, like so. That works. And we can drop in some of the other items that we need for the base. Let's go ahead and add, let's just duplicate this one. And this one will be, so this is the base, we'll do batteries. Batteries, and we'll do the wire one. All right, so we're gonna grab batteries, we're gonna drop it into the base, and we're gonna grab the wire 01, drop that into the base, make sure that that's parented to the base, so that the base is the parent and these are the children. And then we have motors. This motor will go to the base as well. So this barrel is its own thing. This barrel will go to the base as well. So these pieces will be connected together and they'll have the proper origin point. And whenever you parent them like this, they're going to use the base's location, rotation, and scale. So the scale is set to 1. All of these will follow suit, so that if you change the base, everything underneath will change as well. But you can change these independently as well, just in case something's not the right size. So let's go ahead and pull everything in here. So we have the top, the barrel is going to go on the top, batteries, motor. Okay, let's do that. And I have all these in base, yes, okay. So those are in base, perfect. Okay, so these are connected to the base and the top is its own piece, but it's also connected to the base, basically. So if you move the base, everything moves with it. So in the top, we have the barrel, we don't have motors in the top. Yeah, we do. We have motors, we have another wire. Let's go ahead and duplicate that. It'll automatically add a 2 to it. It'll go into the top. And we have the wire connectors as well. Let's go ahead and pop you into the top. Oh, I done messed everything up. And the barrel goes into the top. And the motor 1 goes into the base. Yeah, it's a little finicky. Sometimes it jumps around wherever it wants. So when you close it, you should be able to see it. This one goes in the base. Yeah, you should see them in a line here together. All right, so we have our top, we have our barrels, motors, wires, and we have the wire ties. Let's go ahead and just duplicate that one. And this is wire ties. Oops, didn't do very good on that one. Wire ties in there. We also have wire ties that are going to go in the base as well. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate that one and move that to the base. And you are supposed to be in the base. Why are you not in the base? There we go. That's what I want to see. So when you close base, everything should close. When you close top, only the parts on the top should close, like so. All right, so let's go ahead and start dropping stuff in here. Let's go to top. And the same thing, we have our static mesh here. We're going to grab our top and we're going to drop that in like so. And as long as they have the right origin, they should all just pop right on top of each other, just the way we had it modeled. So let's go ahead and let's go to batteries. Let's grab our batteries. Let's go to wire. This is the bottom wire. Which one was that? That was this one, I believe. Yep, bottom wire. We have the single motor. That's this one. And we have the wire ties, which is this one here. Just like that. So now we have all of our parts on there, exactly where we want them to be. And now we can start up here with the top. We'll go back to wire ties and we'll grab all of our wire ties. You can also grab, drag and drop like that as well. Let's go to barrel. You know what? Barrel is going to be a child of top, but that will have its own rotation, but there's nothing else going to it. So basically the way it would be is that if you had something else that would be going onto the barrel, like say we put the barrel on here, let's put the barrel on here, like so. So this barrel is going to rotate in its own up and down. So we do have a problem here, and that's the problem. We made a mistake. I have to fix that. This is correct. So that is right. So barrel is going to have to be wait a minute. Let me just get through these. Let's put motor. Go ahead and put the motor on. Let's go ahead and put the wires on. That's wire. No. Which one am I on here? Top wire. Yes. Wire. There. Okay. And that should be everything that we have for those. Okay. Let's go ahead and just duplicate this a couple times. So we're going to have this one is going to be the basket. This one will be the funnel. Let's go to basket. Let's grab our basket and pop that on there. Go to funnel and grab our funnel. Pop that one on there. And I just saw another one that we missed. That was the gear. So the gear should have its own yeah, it should have its own origin. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to default scene route. I'm going to add a box collision, just like so. And I'm going to grab all of the top stuff and put it in the box. And I'm going to grab all of the base stuff and put it in the box so that they're separated. Perfect. And I'm going to grab the, where is it? Where is the barrel? Yes. Okay. So I want to separate this. I'm going to toss this into the box by itself real quick, just because I want to see. So yes, I did. We're going to have to redo that. So let me grab the barrel, put it back into the top where it's supposed to be. So we should have the top and everything else goes into the base. Perfect. So now we have two separate setups here. So we got the top and the base. It's not exactly the way I wanted to do that, but we'll probably figure that out a little bit later. So we have our little box down here. This is just a collision box. So right now we have everything is scaled up way too big. And I did that whenever I exported it because I have a multiplier on my presetting that I used there. That's why I had the scale 1 on it. It's got a multiplier of 100. So it makes everything much bigger. So I actually want to bring everything down. You probably wouldn't want to do this. You would probably want to just go ahead and set everything up the way you want it so that you have it the right scale that you want it, which I'll do the next time you see. I'll have that set up because I'll have to go and export everything. And I forgot about the multiplier, so that's why. So I'm just gonna grab the box, and I'm gonna make the box. I'm gonna make the box pretty big, so you can see how big the scale I applied to everything is. So let's do 1000 by 1000 by 1000, and that's how big I made everything oversized, just like that. Grab both of these. Now let's just grab the top and the base. And let's go ahead and just put it in that box. For now, that'll work. So I have this one right here. I moved it out and then I put it back in. And what happens is it has a little bit of rotation added to it. So you can just click this little arrow here to line it back up the way it was. So we're going to have to actually go out and re-import that one, which we'll go ahead and do that right now so that we can get the origin in the right spot. But I do need to add one more. And this will be the wheel. Actually, we have two of them we're going to have to add. So we have the wheel here. Let's go ahead and add our wheel. Bring you in. And there's our wheel. Yep. So I have to do this one as well. So let me just get rid of all of these there. All right, so everything's going back to that origin there. Let's just drop you into the top and clear that. All right, perfect. So the wheel and this piece here, we're gonna have to go back out, and because since I accidentally grabbed it, I shouldn't have done that. I should have made its own separate thing. But since I exported all of these together, it gave everything the same origin point. And I didn't want to do that. What I want to do is the wheel and the barrel, we need to export those completely separate so that we can keep the origin point that we originally had, because those are going to be on different rotations. So everything else is going to work fine. So I mean, if we grab our top, we just grab our top, so everything's connected and the top is the parent. If we rotate the top like we want it to, everything will rotate the way we want. And it's all just connected to one piece. So that's fine. But these, the wheel and the barrel, have to have their own rotation point, but they still have to be parented to the top, which is where I made a mistake. I completely forgot about this. All right, so the way this works, yeah. Every once in a while I do this. So the way this works, we have the origin here, but the problem is that it always uses the world origin whenever you're adding or exporting an item. And what I forgot to do was you actually have to take the item itself and you need to put the item to the world grid. So we're gonna go to selection to cursor so that it's back here in exactly the world grid. And for some reason I have a duplicate of that. And we're gonna do the same thing with the wheel. We're gonna shift S on that one, and we're gonna select cursor so that they're in the right orientation. That's where I kept messing up. So now we can go ahead and do that one more time. Control T on that one, file, export, FBX, models. This is, whoops, that's not what I want to do. FBX, Blender, barrel, FBX1, export, CZ. Let's grab this one, Control T, file, FBX, export wheel, 1, export. Perfect. Okay, so that's what we want to do. I completely forgot about that. So now we can just go ahead and Control Z a few times just to get it back to where it was. Just in case we want to make any changes or anything later down the road. It's all back and we can look at it the right way. We don't have to move that around. So that should work for us now. So now if I go to the wheel, and let's go ahead and put the barrel back into the top where it's supposed to be. and clear this. So you should see now when I add the barrel, it should snap down here to the floor. So let's go ahead to the barrel. Let's re-import those two items. Re-import. Bam. Now it's where it should be. So now we can go also to the wheel and add our wheel back in. Bam. Whoops. Bam. Now it's where it should be. So we want to line the wheel up and we want to line the barrel up. There's a couple of ways that we can actually go about doing that. We can, in this case, with this model, just line it up like so. Just grab it, move it to where you need it to be, which is perfectly fine. In some models, when you have a lot more parts and pieces that have to go together in very specific ways, you can also use sockets. And I don't really think that I need that for this particular model. So I can actually just move it and stay on the grid and get it right exactly where I want it to be without any issue. So with this one, what I'm gonna do is stick it inside like this. That's why I left this here. And then I can just line it up just like that. And I think that, let me see. Let's go to 1. Let's rotate. Yes, very important. The controls for rotating and scaling is R is going to scale, E is going to rotate, and W is going to give you the widget for moving it around. So let's go ahead and just rotate this around and see how much it's going weird around that spindle. So I do want it kind of in the exact right spot. So we can actually go to our perspective viewport here and take a look at it like this. And let's see. We can line that up just a bit better. I think that's it right there. Then we can go back to perspective. Yeah, that'll work for us. All right, and then from there, man, I'm still trying to move it around like I'm in Blender. That's one of the problems. Yeah, just very hard to deal with there sometimes. So now we can just move this out to the middle where we want it, just like so. And we can mess that a little bit later. So we can actually take the wheel. We'll take this wheel, we'll Control D, duplicate, and then we can just go ahead and grab it up and give us our other wheel. About like so. I think that'll do us go down one more tick. Yeah, that should do. That should be just fine for us. So now we have that one set up. Now we need to just get this one lined up. And we need to move it over there. Make sure we're in the middle on the Z-axis and move it back out a bit so we have a little space. Probably about right there. Let's see how it fits in here. So it should fit kind of on this gear a little bit on the inside, which I'm kind of happy that we have that there now so I can see when it intersects right there. And let's go ahead and rotate it. And that's too much. So yeah, let's just go ahead and pull it back out a little bit. Perfect. That should be right in the middle where it's supposed to be. Control Shift S to save everything. So there's a few save options. And we're gonna go ahead and compile as well. So you can save this one here. That saves what you're working on in this tab. But you also will have this save all save option down here, which saves everything that you've changed in the level, because you might be working in 5 or 6 different tabs, and that one will save everything. That's like the set in stone one, so I'm always Control Shift S to save. Alright, so now that we got that set up, let's go ahead and drop into the golf ball turret folder we have here. We have this material folder. Go ahead and right click on that. We're going to import here. And on this one, we're going to go to our substance game material folder. We're going to grab our golf ball turret materials, which are here. What did I do? Did I make another? Oh, I did. I wonder why I did that. So we're going to grab all of our materials and we're going to go ahead and open those up. And this will be everything. We'll have everything labeled though. We have base, basket, funnel, battery, and they're all kind of jumbled. But if you just go up here and put in battery or even start, then you'll just get the 3 you need. So that's going to work out just fine for us. So we're going to go ahead and just make one material for right now. And then on the next one, we'll go ahead and start applying all the materials after I make them, because it's pretty much exactly the same. You just copy and paste. Let's just go ahead and start on it. So we're going to go ahead and grab a material. We're going to put a material here. We'll call this one M underscore. This will be the base. And we'll go ahead and open that up. So this is our material graph editor. We have everything that we need in here to get our materials out. Base color, metallic, specular, a lot of different parameters. We're not going to go through everything because there is an absurd amount of things you can do. And we're going to go ahead in here. We're going to put in, we're working on the base. We'll put in base, just like so. And we have our golf ball turret barrel base right there. So we have these 3 base textures. So let's go ahead and close that back up. Let's move this one down, move this one up. So we have these together right here. And we have our base color that we can just go ahead and put in there. Let's go to this one so we can see the UV map itself. So this puts everything right onto that UV map that we were working on. And we have our normals. So we'll just go ahead and plug the normals in. That'll give it the bump map to it. Add in our normals. Now you can see we got some bumpiness back in there. And this one is a packed texture. So when we open it up, we have different items depending on which channel you're on. So if we're on red, green, or blue, we have different setups, and I don't have anything on alpha. So right now we have our red. This is going to be this one is our specular map on the green. This red is our ambient occlusion map, and the blue is going to be our metal. So we're going to plug those up respectively. We got red for ambient occlusion, green is going to go into roughness, and this is going to go into the metallic. So now we have everything plugged in the way we need it. And you have your complete texture set up here. You can take a look at it and make sure that everything's working the way you want it to. And it looks pretty good to me. So we'll go ahead, apply, and save that. We'll go back to our golf ball turret here, and that was the base. So we can just go ahead and open up in the golf ball meshes. Let's go to our base, double click on base, and we can go ahead back to our materials, grab base material, and we go to our material slot right here and go ahead and add that in. And now we have our base back with all of its functionality and all the normals and everything back in there. So getting the rest of them done now is easy since we have this first one already done. This is all we need to do here. The only other thing I want to do is grab all of these textures and I want to add them to a shared wrap so that they're all sharing the same UV space and they're not all individual. It's just better for, oops, I want to do that. I didn't apply. Just get a little bit more for performance. So now all we have to do is just Control D this, and then we'll call this one top. Double click to open, go back here, go to top, and we'll grab our 3 textures. And we don't even need to add the textures anymore, so we've already got them here. So all we have to do is grab our very first one, click it here, and then change the texture over to the next texture. Grab the normal, click on this one, change the texture over. And the same for the combination map. So now we have our top completely done. And it's the same thing, you're just gonna do that for all of the parts. Go ahead and apply, save that, go back into the turret. Let's go to our golf ball turret top. Let's get rid of that. Meshes, let's go back to the top. And we'll apply that material. Bam. So now we have that material in and ready to go. So now if we go back, let's go ahead and save that. Let's go back, let's get rid of this one. Yep, that's saved. This one's applied, that's saved. Go back here. So now we have our top and our base done. Just like so. And now I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing for all of these parts, pieces, and all these textures. So that's going to conclude us for this particular episode. On the next episode, we'll go ahead and start working on the functionality, getting everything kind of working, and getting the rotation set up for tracking so that everything works the way we want. So it rotates well here. And we might actually add a socket for the barrel just so we have a socket to use for any programming that we need later. But for right now, this socket, or the way it's set up right now, will work perfectly for what we need. So we have it, and you can go up with it here and rotate it, and everything functions together the way it should. All right, let's go ahead and save that. Perfect. So last one, I'll show you really quickly. So if we go out of here like this, and we go back, let me go ahead into the editor preferences real quick. No, let's not do that. All right, so anyway, we're gonna go right in here, and I'll show you what I mean by the other level. So we have this set up here, and the reason is because we can actually we can go ahead and grab our, yeah, I was going to end it a minute ago, but I'm not going to. You know what? Let's not do that. Let's grab this first, and let's go ahead and move this up so that the base is. Let's go into. Let's go into front. Works. So we're grabbing the box to move this, and we're just wanting to set it so that it sits right on the ground right there. And we'll change this box later because this box is not even going to be. This is only so I could separate these the way I wanted to, which isn't necessary. I can actually just put these back together the way they were, so I can put the top into the base like so. And then I can get rid of the box completely. So if I grab the base right now and I move everything around, everything moves the way it should. And if I grab the top and I rotate it, everything should rotate. Let's go into perspective. Everything should rotate the way that it's supposed to, which it does. So everything works there. Go back out. We can go ahead and grab our turret and pop this out. And this is, like I said, way too big. I will reset it at some point so that I can get all these in the right size. Because if I were to play right now, this thing is, yeah. my airplane is tiny compared to this. So we can actually use it as a huge obstacle course and just kind of fly around. Right now we'll just crash into it because there's a box. There's the box. So yeah, it has, the collision is not that great, so I'll have to fix that a little bit later. Although this is going to be fairly small, so the collision really doesn't matter all that much, but that's what we got so far, and that's what it's looking like so far. There we go. So yeah, let's go ahead and finish this one up. Target open, yeah, because I don't have any targets in the scene. So yeah, let's go ahead and finish this up for this one. Next time we'll start getting, I'll have all the textures already done and put on there, and then we'll go ahead and start working with building the logic for it so that it functions and finds the airplane and you can kill it as well. It's going to take a few episodes to do that, but for the most part we have it in. It's ready to go. Just got to throw a bunch of textures on there and everything will be good, as they say. So that's it for today, and I'll see you on the next one.